Hey guys!
Welcome to Let's Play RC.
So today we're going to rebuild the slipper clutch unit on the Traxxas Stampede. Coming up!
Welcome back everybody. So if you're new around here, my name's Dylan.
And I'm Calvin.
And on this channel we do all things RC, such as tips, tricks, reviews.
We also do some upgrades, repairs, unboxings, some awesome run videos, and so much more.
So if you're new around here, consider subscribing.
So just before the break, we said we were going to rebuild the slipper clutch unit in this Traxxas Stampede. So let's take you up top and we'll show you what's going on here. First thing we want to do is, with a 2mm hex driver or Allen wrench, we are going to remove this screw, this screw, this screw. This one down here. So those two there, remove your, hold on a second, but your spur gear cover.
Do I have to take this off first? Right here.
No. There we go. Just like that. And then the one down there just removes the little clamp here off of your motor wires, because you're going to have to remove the motor. So, removing the motor. Same size hex driver, but we have this rounded tip one because you can't get straight at it. So this is where a Allen key would also be helpful if you don't have a round tip one. So we'll loosen the motor mount screw. Motor mount screw. Now we can remove the motor. It's like that. It's got this little horseshoe shape thing that goes around that nut, like that. So you can either just leave this off to the side, or you can unplug it to get it right out of the way, like so. So here's our spur gear here. So now we're going to remove this screw and this screw, plus the two shock mount screws with a 2mm, was it 2mm? 2.5mm hex driver. Or Allen wrench. I'll hold the truck to help you. Shock towers. Okay, remember when you remove your shock towers, you got these little washers in behind.
Got it.
This one's actually stuck.
Okay.
That one won't come off. Okay, so put it on your screw so you don't lose it. There we go. Okay, now if we flip the truck over, this screw and this screw with the 2.5mm as well. So that the back end comes.
That was awesome. It's like, because there's no shocks on it. It dropped right there. That's awesome.
Right off. You just pull.
It's very good.
We'll set that aside.
I'll take the rear end.
And now it gives us access to the spur gear and slipper clutch unit.
It's like one of those cars that can drive upside down and right side up.
Now the reason we had to rebuild this, actually the unit itself is still in pretty good shape, but two of the slipper pads have actually come out. So we could just reuse, so you can see that it's on level. So we're going to check the bearings. This bearing still spinning nicely. So actually this is my daughter's truck and she doesn't drive it very often, so it's actually in really good shape still. So we might be able to get away with not changing bearings and stuff. They seem like they're in really good shape still.
Yeah, it only broke because I drove it.
On on Mom's Stampede, we had to change out the bearings because they were all busted, and her slipper clutch, her spur gear was chewed. All the teeth were chewed right off. So now, how do we rebuild this?
I don't know.
First thing we need to do is remove the grub screw off this outdrive.
Yep. I remember.
And that is the 2 mil driver as well. Now Dylan and I use a drill quite a bit in our hobby, but certain things like this grub screw, I'll use an actual hand driver because this grub screw probably has Loctite, and if you use the drill, you'll strip out the screw itself. So, so there's the little grub screw. We're going to put that aside. Now the outdrive comes off. And this little nut here we got to take off. That's an 8 mil wrench. And an 8 mil wrench probably came in your pack for this truck, in your provided tools that Traxxas sends with their trucks.
Which are very useful.
So like I said, this particular spur gear slipper clutch unit is in pretty good shape, so we'll probably just reuse most of these parts. But if you need to rebuild the entire thing, the parts you're going to need, Dylan will tell you right now.
So the slipper clutch rebuild kit, part number 4 is 5552X. It also comes with instructions to build it. And then we also have the spur gear. Part number for that is 3956. And then we also have the slipper plates, and that the part number for that is 5556.
Right. So you'll need all of that if you're going to rebuild the entire thing. Now, actually, we will rebuild the entire thing just to show you guys what's going on. Okay, so back to the top camera. Once you had the spring and the lock nut taken off, there is a rubber grommet. Pulls off. Pay attention to which way it went on. If you look at the shape of it. But again, the instructions will have all that. Take off the slipper, or the spur gear. See, our bearing's still good in there, so we're going to reuse that bearing. But then you need to take out these 3 screws here, and that is with the 2.5 mil. So Dylan, you want to screw them? I'll hold it. Take it slow so you don't tear my fingers off, okay? Okay. You need a little more torque, son. There we go. Okay.
that's just teared up, eh?
Yeah. So we're not going to throw this stuff out because we could maybe reuse these down the road.
That's completely teared.
And we'll pop the bearing out. There we go. So the bearing's good. Then that slides down. And there's a pin here. Hold the pin. So this shaft is the only part that you'll reuse if you're rebuilding the entire kit. Now, these shafts don't generally become a problem. If they do, I'm sure you can get it. We don't know the part, but we will let you know at the end of the video what the part number is. So, let's start with that slipper rebuild kit. We'll open up that bag so that we can get the instructions. So it actually gives you a pretty good detailed diagram of what to do. So in that bag you get your slipper brake pads, your disc, 2 springs, a new pin, and 2 lock nuts. So you can compare the new spring to find out which one you need. So we need that one. As same with your lock nuts. We'll need that one. Now the reason they give you these other options is even on the diagram it shows you one set of spring and lock nut is for the Slash and the other set is for the Stampede. So in saying that, you can also use this rebuild kit for your Slash, Traxxas Slash. Same part number.
This one opened.
So here's your set of brake. What do they call this, buddy? The slipper plates.
Slipper pressure plate.
Yeah, your slipper pressure plates. And the new spur gear. So, the instructions are so good even a child can do it. Actually, Dylan did it on his mom's Stampede over here, all by himself pretty well. So, take your rod, take this plate, the one with the little groove there. Which hole was that in, do you know? So your new pin goes in the rod like so. Think so?
I remember because last time we figured that out. Because we had to put it up higher. Okay. Remember? So
it goes in the top hole.
On Stampede. Might go in the...
You got 2 holes there. Goes in the top hole for this particular application. Yep. I assume the second hole is for different center drive shafts or maybe that hole is a change up for the Slash. Yeah. So that goes in there like this. You can see the instructions here. Next is our plate.
Yeah.
When you put this plate on, if you notice the grooves, you want it so that it's not moving. Okay, so that's that part. Then, if Dylan can hold this, the other side of the slipper pressure plate, we're going to put on the little brake pads. Like so. Then that one goes on to your pin.
2 squares.
Good job, buddy. So there's that.
And then the bearing goes on. That looks something, right? I think.
Yeah. Well, not the bearing. So at this point, you're going to want to put your bearing in here. So like I said, we are reusing our bearing because it's in good shape. But if you guys need a new bearing, the bearing size is, because you're not going to see the instructions when you buy this rebuild kit to tell you what size of bearing. So if you think you're going to replace your bearing or need to replace your bearing, it is a 5x11x4 ball bearing. So when you're at the store or online purchasing and you need the bearing, that's the size of bearing you'll need to go with the kit. So the bearing goes in the slipper clutch, and then we make sure that the slipper clutch is in that direction so that the screws can go back in. So to make life easier, we're going to put our rubber seal back on. And again, it shows you in the diagram which direction this rubber seal goes. Just like that. So that's almost done. Now we're just going to replace the screws here. Make sure your torque's not too high, bud.
Down 3, that's perfect.
So I'll hold it, Dylan will drill it.
The truss.
Obviously you could do this yourself.
The truss that he puts in.
Yeah.
I could screw his fingers.
Give your child a drill and hold the part he's doing. It's kind of like holding a nail for someone else to hammer. Man, that's a lot of trust. And Dylan and I have actually worked on projects around the house. We built our deck together when he was like 5. Dad, can I help? Absolutely. Well, I can't hold the nail. You hold the nail. So of course, don't even look. And yeah, he whacked my thumb once. Oh man. So from that point on, I'd hold the nail and I'd watch. And as soon as he swing, I'd let go. Just took us about a half hour to put one nail in. But anyway. So now I'll hold this while he drills and hopefully he doesn't tear my fingers up. You're cross-threaded. You're cross-threaded, buddy. If it doesn't go easy, it's not. There you go. Remember, always start slow, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, one more.
Now I'm 10. I don't think I would do that anymore.
Well, yeah, that's true. But there are a couple times when I've tried to hold something for you, so you can, and the screw is in so tight, it's like, eh. But this is pretty. I mean, I'd hold it for myself, so it's no different. Okay.
He trusts me.
So that's in. Then we put the spring back on. And the lock nut. And we want to tighten that lock nut down.
With our 8. Oh. You'll try everyone except for the big one until you...
Well, you can't actually lock it down until you... This is basically... Yeah, so you got to be really careful here that your pin doesn't fall out. So I suggest that you try to always hold this like that. And if you put your rubber down, it'll go. Anyway, so once you have it all built, you should probably grab a little pair of pliers, or a vice grip or something, or we'll use a little adjustable wrench so that we can hold that down and tighten
that side.
This nut.
Oh, he's along.
We're not going to tighten it super tight. We're just going to snug it up.
It around.
So we just tightened that nut down just enough to hold everything together. Now we're going to leave that free spinning now because you're going to adjust this once everything's back together. You guys wait till the end here. We'll actually explain how to tighten your slipper clutch. So, now that that's all back together, we are going to put this outdrive back on with our grub screw. And we should put a little bit of new Loctite on the grub screw.
A Go grab the website. Special delivery.
You're not going to get any out holding it sideways, son. You got to tip it. There you go. Good.
Kind of goofy sometimes.
Little dabble do you.
Little dabba dooda. Little dabba dooda.
There we go. Rebuilt. So we'll put it back in.
And that's all after it's in. Oh, and then we gotta put the everything back on it. And then that as well.
Alright guys, so that's how you rebuild your slipper clutch unit. Now we're just going to put everything back together the same way we took it apart.
Yep.
Okay, let's start putting it together. Before you put your cover back on, leave that off till the end. But we can reinstall the motor. And also guys, so once you've removed the motor, you're going to want to mesh your gears again. And if you want to know how to mesh your gears, we actually did a video. We'll put it in a card right here. You can go check it out. So once you have it meshed, you reinstall your motor mount screw. Put in your
Clamp.
Wire clamp here. Hold your motor wires out of the way. Alright guys, so now that we have everything back together except for the spur gear cover, we're just going to put a battery in here. And we're going to turn it on. We're going to hold it up. Now you can see the wheels aren't barely turning. If I put it down, it doesn't go anywhere, which means our slipper clutch needs tightening.
That's what I'm talking about. When you lift it up, it goes, but when you put it down, it doesn't. It also makes that grinding noise.
So of course we need to tighten the slipper clutch. In order to tighten the slipper clutch, we need to remove the drive shaft cover.
Kind of useless. We find.
Yeah.
It's a little clear thing that you see over the blue thing.
Which means you also got to remove the receiver box.
I read your mind.
With these two screws here, one there and one here, which is also the 2mm hex driver. Now we only need to remove that just so we can get to this other little screw down here for that drive shaft cover. And we're going to turn the truck off so we don't have any accidents. I'll put the battery aside for now. So there's this screw here. You guys can see that. You want to grab it? You can get that little wrench that came with your truck in here on that bolt, and then just take your back tires and push them forward. It'll tighten that bolt. Now we've chosen to take that plastic cover right off. You can do the same thing and put the cover back on if you want. So we got a good adjustment there, I think. Now I know there's guys all over the net that tell you a quarter turn this way, a quarter. None of that ever works. Really, you just want to check it out for yourself. Make small adjustments either way. The best way we found is to trial and error. Take it outside, put it on some solid asphalt if you have it. It's a little tougher in the winter here in Canada when it's slippery, but on asphalt, the whole idea of the slipper clutch is to reduce the pressure on your drive shafts and differential gears and things like that. The tiny bit of slip is so when it lands, it has just a little bit of a slip so that it's not solid and tearing up gears. So you can kind of tell when you drive it. So basically, when we're done, once we've adjusted it the way we feel comfortable, we will actually do a little test run on our garage floor. Too tight of a slipper clutch really does nothing. If it's too tight, you might as well not have one at all. It'll put full pressure on your diff gears and things like that. Another thing you can do is just hold your foot on the front bumper and just give it a tiny bit of trigger, and just to see if it's like gripping right away or if there's a tiny bit of slip. For those who do the foot trick, you can kind of get a sense just by watching it. You can also go backwards. So I think that's good. So get this wrench back down in here. I believe this is the wrench that comes with your vehicle, so it will fit. Just barely, like it's tight. So if you need a little bit less, you just do a tiny turn reverse. Now we'll try it again. Like I said, you'll get a feel for it, guys. You want a tiny little bit of slip when it's trying to go, but you don't want so much that it doesn't go, right? If it's too loose, it won't go. Alright guys, so that's how you do the slipper clutch replacement kit on the Traxxas Stampede 4x4. Hopefully this was helpful.
Don't forget to hit that like button as well, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you guys don't miss out on another video.
And if you guys want to see another video, there's a couple we'll put right here. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, get out and play. See you later.